This shit is why I hate new cars. I go to reverse. Warning, 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 shift to park because there's a pole in front of me because they parked as close to the pole as possible. Look what it does when I go to put it in reverse. It automatically parks itself.
So this YouTuber just found out how much his Tesla Model S Plaid has depreciated in the past 2 years. He paid $140,000 when the car was brand new. So with just 37,000 miles on the odometer, Tesla offered him a whopping $46,400. That's a loss of $94,000 or 67%.
Honda is recalling 1.7 million vehicles. The automaker says a manufacturing issue has caused drivers to lose control while steering. More than a dozen crashes have been reported.
Welcome back to part 2 of New Cars Are Still Absolutely Horrible in 2025. You guys absolutely crushed my last episode on New Cars Are Horrible, and I had to make a part 2, more specifically covering the things that I left out, forgot, or that you reminded me of in the comments on that previous episode. So in today's video, we're going to be covering terrible new car warranties, horrible planned obsolescence, the right to repair, as well as car depreciation, and a lot more. Now, if you guys happen to have purchased a new car or have an opinion on whether or not you should be buying a used or a new car, please share your stories down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear about your experience with warranties and things like that down below. Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode.
This shit is why I hate new cars. I go to reverse. Warning, 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 shift to park because there's a pole in front of me because they parked as close to the pole as possible. Look what it does when I go to put it in reverse. It automatically parks itself. Reverse. Let off the park. It parks itself. How? I can't move the car because it's parking itself because of a light pole. Because of a sensor. This is stupid.
That's actually hysterical. Like, the way cars are going, the amount of safety tech, like, we are slowly ruining cars. Let's just start off with that. We are slowly ruining new cars with emissions, with the EPA inspections, with smog testing, with adding a ton of new technology and safety, that we have to have. It's just destroying the efficiency of how cars could run. I don't know if you guys realize, but we could theoretically build a car that could last forever, 1,000,000 miles. It's very possible. But when we have government regulations and things like that on emissions, but when we have to build engines with EGR valves and recirculating the exhaust fumes back into the engine, it leads to carbon buildup. It leads to worse engines, and it doesn't make them last, especially because it's adding more maintenance on something that doesn't necessarily have to be added, on top of all the safety and tech nonsense, which makes cars pretty much dumber for whatever reason. They think it makes it safer. They think that the car is smarter than people. And honestly, some people out there, no offense, you probably need the safety stuff here. But the amount of times that I have seen cars fail because of the safety technology, it's unbelievable. And as of last week, I was in Arizona and in California. There's something called Waymo, which is now taking the jobs of Uber drivers, and they are driverless cars with an immense amount of safety and technology that makes it a driverless self-driving car, which is insane. But you can just watch them and how quirky and jerky they are, and they just don't have that, human touch of driving, which is good and bad, but it seems a bit dangerous. And with my car, I drive an Audi, an RS3. I have the DriveSense technology in Audi, and I hate it. It's overly sensitive. Luckily, you can dial it down, if not turn it off. But how I got it, the factory settings, it is so finicky, constantly braking for me, which is scary as hell. I can see the car coming behind me, and it literally pushes the brake pedal in while my foot was already on the brake, but I wasn't doing it fast enough for the car. And it scares the living hell out of me. It really does. And I don't need it. I don't need the constant warnings, the constant safety bumps. I have never actually needed it. I was not going to cause an accident, but it thinks otherwise and takes control. And the worst part is with adaptive cruise control and all these radar sensors, they are a fortune, a literal fortune to have serviced. If they ever become not calibrated or out of calibration, which happens very often with weather and snow and things that happen to move the bracket ever so slightly, it costs thousands of dollars to have calibrated at the Audi dealer or wherever you might take it. So moving forward, new cars, I really refuse, unless you know how to work on them yourselves, I refuse to get one with all those safety features. And the problem is, the newer the car, it's almost mandatory to have these safety features installed.
Honda is recalling 1.7 million vehicles. The automaker says a manufacturing issue has caused drivers to lose control while steering.
I love it because in the last episode or a couple episodes ago, you guys were arguing at my throats that new cars are safer and more reliable no matter what, like blanket statement, than older used cars. And here we are yet again, 1.7 million cars recalled from Honda, which was supposed to be reliable, for steering problems and crashes, a dozen crashes or more because they lost control of the vehicle due to the steering faults. What does that tell you? Make these blanket statements and go through life just assuming things, and you will make an ass of you and me.
More than a dozen crashes have been reported. The recalled models include the Civic, CR-V, HR-V, and Acura Integra. The company says all the affected models were built between 2022 and 2025 models. Owners will be notified to schedule a repair at no cost.
Now, you guys will argue it, and I remember it last time. Well, so what if they have recalls? It's covered under the warranty. The recall will be fixed. Not always, guys. I have had multiple terrible experiences from recalls and warranty work on my cars. I'll give you an example. I used to drive a 2015 Audi A3, and it was 2018. It was still under the factory warranty, and I had gotten a recall come out for the PODS system failure. Passenger occupancy detection system, so it can tell if a passenger is sitting in the car. It's like weight sensed, so if you're sitting in the passenger seat, the airbag will turn on, and if you're not in it, it will deactivate. But in this case, it's always deactivated, which is a problem. If you're sitting in it and the airbag don't go off. Now, it was a free recall at Audi. I was like, this is amazing. Now, keep in mind, I've never had any issues with it. Mine was working fine, but they stressed it was a safety thing. God forbid you have your loved one sitting in the seat, airbag doesn't go off. So you should get it done. Well, I did. I got it done. No less than a week later, the problem that they said was happening started to happen to me. Never happened in the 2.5 years of ownership prior to Audi touching it. 1 week after they changed it, did I start having the failure come on and the wonky lights going berserk. So I brought it back to Audi. They said, well, we never touched. It seems like your sensor failed, and we only replaced the wiring harness that connects to the sensor. So we're not covering it because we only touched the wiring harness. I go, guys, are you freaking kidding me? Obviously, I didn't dissect the seat and go and find the sensor in the airbag module and mess with it myself. They wanted to charge me $1,700 or $1,600 to have it fixed. I even have the receipt from Audi, the invoice. That's how much they wanted to charge me. They said they're not liable. They didn't do it. It's your fault. You have to pay for it. Never had the problem prior. After I sold the car, about 2 to 3 years later, I got another recall service saying, oh, the work that they didn't fix the problem, and it actually was causing the problem to persist or happen. And now they were taking responsibility several years later, and they would reimburse you had you have gotten it done at Audi. Now, most people probably wouldn't do that. They would choose to go to another place to have it serviced. And you basically have to fight tooth and nail to get your money back after they screwed you and they don't take responsibility. So since then, I don't really blindly follow warranties or recalls just because they say so. Because time and time again, I've been screwed from their lies. Anywho, sorry for the rant. Moving forward, I wanted to read a couple of you guys' comments from the previous episode. If you haven't watched that episode, highly recommend you do. And if if you want to get featured in my next episode, definitely make sure to drop a comment or a story down below. So as you can see from the first comment, we have anyone who buys a Jeep is literally asking for it. And they pretty much commented that because in the previous episode, majority of the cars that failed or were having problems were all Jeep, which is hysterical. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Jeeps in today's episode. Got over 350 likes. If your dealership, this is from Spathon, if your dealership is taking weeks to fix your car while you're still making payments, call your state consumer protection agency and file a report against the dealership. That will light a fire under their asses. That's what consumer protection is there for. So cool. I didn't know that. You know, if you guys are in that situation, definitely consider that. And that reminded me, when I got the recall for the pod system in my old Audi, and I called the dealer, they said they didn't have any parts. And they said it would take months before they even had a chance to fix it because they were so back ordered. They were filled with so many people coming in. And it took me probably like 8 months to like a year before my car even got in there. It might have been a year and a half. And God forbid you take it to another dealer than the one that you got the work done for. It's a whole problem. None of them, you know, they all put their hands in the air and don't want to take accountability or responsibility. And then you have to go through corporate, which is even worse. The next one is from Pepsi Holic. No, bad sugar. This is why I keep my 97 Crown Vic until the engine blows. It's built solid and tough. I'm 52 and never had a car payment. I refuse to pay for plastic junk. Totally agree. I will stand on it that reliable used cars are hands down better than majority of new cars. Don't get me wrong. There are still plenty of new cars that are very reliable and good. A lot of Lexus and Toyota and some Mazdas are tremendously well. You never really hear about, you know, that I don't want to jinx myself saying Accords because they've had some problems here, but lots of like, what have you heard of a Toyota Sienna? Even the new ones having issues. You really don't. It's like a slept-on car that does well. Even like Camrys or Corollas, they really don't have that many issues because they've just kept the same thing, the same engine, the same transmission, and have just continuously improved it and made it better, which is what I love about Toyota and Lexus there. Next up, we have Beef Supreme. I love that username. Another fun thing about modern cars, when you take it to the official workshop and their own techs don't know how to fix it because it's so overcomplicated, so they ask you to just start throwing parts at the car at your risk and expense, hoping that something will work. I love it. And it happens time and time again where if you are not mechanically inclined or have any sort of general knowledge or understanding of cars and you bring it to shops, I have heard countless stories. These assholes will just throw parts at it and see whatever sticks. And time again, it doesn't work. I have heard countless stories from friends who have evap leaks or problems, and they have brought it to like 12 mechanics, which is not necessarily a good thing because each mechanic is going to want to redo the same stuff that the previous mechanic did instead of taking the word from the previous one. So that's not a good tip. If you float around mechanics, it's pretty much like floating around doctors, and it's hard to know. They don't really trust the previous mechanic and they want to do the work themselves. So you're going to end up paying more in the long run. So stick with one good, reliable mechanic. But the idea of just throwing parts at it instead of diagnosing it is just a lazy ass mechanic, and you need to take it elsewhere because it's going to cost you more in the long run. When you worked so hard to get a vehicle you really wanted and this happens, what do I do?
$48,000 on a car, and at 50,000 miles, my paint started peeling.
No offense, who's the fool? Why would you, in what world are Hyundais worth $50,000? When has Hyundai ever been considered a designer or luxury car brand where you would ever pay 50 grand, $48,000 on a Hyundai? That is absurd.
Everywhere. Been dealing with Hyundai for a year, called corporate and everything, and the dealership, and nobody's helping me out here. We've gone round and round and round. Guys, what do I do? Help me out here.
Imagine purchasing a car from a Hyundai dealership, and within 13 days of purchasing it, the car's paint starts chipping everywhere. Everybody says that they have issues with the white paint. I have issues with my red paint. It is literally chipping off in huge bubbles. I can't take it through a car wash. It will make it worse.
Oh.
It started on my back doors, and now it's everywhere. I've reached out to Hyundai multiple times, multiple different dealerships. They refuse to cover it. And have even procrastinated sending my photos in. So now, since three different dealerships have pushed me off, the fourth one I went to got the answer from Hyundai that now I'm out of warranty. So it was procrastinated with 3 other dealerships, and now I'm just out of luck. So Hyundai, if you see this, it'd be nice if you could reach out to me and fix my car, considering I spent a lot of money on it and reached out to y'all within less than 2 weeks. And if you're thinking about buying a Hyundai, I wouldn't, because they're going to sell you a car with a crappy paint job and then not fix it. And no dealership is going to do what they're supposed to and what they advertise they're going to do.
Yep.
So Hyundai, if you could contact me, that would be great.
You guys commented in the last video. You left comments to check out like the white paint on Hyundai and Kias. You're totally right. It's terrible. It's horrible. And like the 2 people previously stated, they don't want to take accountability. They don't want to take responsibility. Now, maybe they were out of warranty, or they waited or pushed you till you were out of warranty. But even you'd think if you just bought a car, brand new, let's say you're the original owner, and like a year after the warranty, all the paint flakes off. Like it conveniently all fell off. They're going to say, too bad. Sorry. We built it. Planned obsolescence. It's meant to fall apart and break literally a year after the warranty. That's how we make them, because now you're going to want to get a new car. You don't want to drive around in that. And I thought she was like kidding, like a little bit of rot chips on the front. But the fact that the whole side peeled off is absolutely insane. I've never seen that before. That's crazy. But it tells you. And I have so many stories dealing with, dealers, and then dealing with private sellers, stuff like that, in a sense, like private dealers, I don't want to say mom and pop dealerships, but small private dealerships, and then the actual manufacturer dealerships. I've always had problems. I've never had like really that good of experiences from any of them. They've always given me a hard time.
Okay, I want to show you guys something at Con Expo. This is the new DT12 automatic transmission. Here's some really cool things about the engineering on it. So they won't sell you anything to repair this transmission. You can't buy the parts. They won't tell you how to repair it. All Detroit will do is sell you a new one. So if you grenade this transmission, they'll just sell you a brand new transmission. That's it. You can't fix it. You can't take it to a repair shop.
And the funny part is, I bet it's meant to grenade itself. I bet after 60, 70,000 miles, it will fail, because they built it like that for it to fail on you.
It is pure planned obsolescence. And we asked the guys, like, how come you can't repair it? How come it's only re and re? And they said, oh, it's too complicated for somebody to change. It's just gears. It is just pure gears. They said you need a $4.5 million machine if you want to be able to service this truck transmission. This is exactly what we stand against at Edison Motors. This planned obsolescence that you can't repair it, we won't even sell you the parts, you need to just buy a new one. You can't fix it yourself. That's what they want. That's what we're going to. And this is bullshit. Here's another example of how we're fighting against planned obsolescence and for right to repair, and it comes to parking brake release knobs. This is kind of the standard one on newer trucks. This one here can run you over $400. And it's just plastic. You can see here how the little plastic cracked on that fitting and it releases the air. This is the one that you would find on an older truck. This is the dash control module. This one here will run you about $16. This one here, that's full metal. These are those important decisions when designing and building a truck. Do you want to put in the $400 plastic one? Or do you want to have the $20 metal one? I'm buying these trucks and owning them. I know damn well what valve I want.
It is so common now that I work on cars as a hobby, and I've worked on tons of different ones, I see it. It's so common. I'll give you an example. My 2015 Audi A3 that I had several years ago, the water pump failed at 35,000 miles. 35,000 miles. 2.5 years on a new car, new used car. Coolant dripping out of the engine. If you don't take care of that, you will grenade the engine from overheating it. Why? Tell me why Volkswagen and Audi make their water pumps out of plastic. Freaking plastic. I replaced my girlfriend's 2010 Mazda 3, which has 178,000 miles on it. I just replaced her water pump, not because it was leaking, not because it was failing, but because we plan on doing more road trips in it. And for preventative maintenance, I said, hey, 180,000 miles, like, let's let this poor girl rest. And I bought a new one for $40. $40 for a OEM Mazda water pump. The Audi one was about $600 or $400 to $600 for the parts alone. All plastic. More than likely, it's going to fail in another 30 to 60,000 miles to the next owner, whoever owns it here. But it's a constant. It's cheaper. It's easier. It's planned obsolescence. They know it's going to break. They know it's going to fail on you. They want you to keep fixing it. They want you to keep buying parts, and they want to keep making the parts cheaper. Then they patent it. As you saw in the last episode, they put design patents on all this crap so that nobody can copy it, and they can charge whatever the hell they want, because I'm sure that a bunch of like PEX or whatever plastic that they use can very easily have been manufactured for like $30, $50, but the audacity to then sell it for $400 is insane. It really tells you that new cars are meant to just suck. And they're meant to just suck the money right out of your wallets.
Buying these trucks and owning them, I know damn well what valve I want.
Our warranty company is denying a customer an engine replacement because they had aftermarket tires and wheels. It's absolutely insane. We're going to get a lawyer involved.
We're going to deny your car the warranty we have, this extended warranty, the aftermarket warranty on the engine that failed, because you put nice rims and tires on it. You can't even make the connection. At the maximum, you could say it messed up the differential, maybe the transmission. We're gonna now say it has to do with the engine. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like here that the claim was actually denied for the aftermarket tires and wheels, and also because the continued use after the vehicle had low oil pressure. Continued driving the vehicle, which ended up causing the main bearing to fail and metal debris getting into the turbo and causing consequential damage to the turbo as well. So it was also denied for that too.
Yeah, so
Says here on the cylinder number 3 main bearing.
I hear you. But what I'm saying is that's saying that the cylinder 3, right, there's a rod bearing, there's a main bearing. The main overheated and had excessive wear. Even if it had minimal wear, there's no way to rebuild that without doing a complete engine overhaul, which is essentially an engine replacement. But my understanding is, regardless from that, you're saying that the primary reason for the denial was because the wheels and tires were altered.
Also on this contract, it does state that any modifications done to the vehicle will lose coverage on the vehicle, and it also states that any misuse or continued use on the vehicle as well, when there's a failure present, would also lose coverage on the vehicle.
Yeah, so we took a look at the inspection report. We don't see any findings where there was like excessive wear that was, I guess, negligent. The customer stated that they cut it off immediately as soon as it started making some noise, and that's when we had it towed to the appropriate mechanic shop for you guys to do your inspection. And then I looked up the exclusionary policy. When it comes to engine transmission, my understanding, aftermarket wheels and tires is not part of that. If we're advocating on behalf of the customer, you can understand why we're doing that, so he doesn't have to go through this frustration of what we seem to have in front of us is a unreasonable denial. To figure out an appeal process or anything else, because like I said, we looked at the inspection report. There was nothing, like you guys were saying, the main bearing was overheat due to loss of oil pressure. At some point, if it was due to excessive use, the engine would have locked up. The engine continued to crank, it's continued to run. So I don't understand where this excessive use was or misuse of running the motor until there was so much heat, And
there's not really any process for you to try to rebuttal this claim, but I could send you to our customer service department, and they can be able to assist you on that.
Call your lawyer. Let's talk to them. Guys, you have to be careful. If you are a dealer or a consumer, whatever warranty you buy, make sure you vet it. Make sure you read the contract. And if you're a dealer, make sure your rep is there to support you and make sure they're advocating for you, because we are calling word. I don't even know, but it rhymes with Degrity. Don't use Degrity or a company that sounds like Degrity warranty. It's just crazy. We're not going to sell the warranty anymore.
It's funny because he goes, "Oh, sorry, there's no way you can appeal our denial." And it's an unreasonable denial, and they don't give a shit. And unless you have a lot of money and a lot of time, which most people don't because they have to work for a living, and most likely not at a dealership, then you have to hire a lawyer, which is very expensive. And this is what they're in the market for to do, is just find every which way reason. You have a keychain on your keys. We're going to deny you for the engine failure. You have a fancy fluffy steering wheel cover. That's why your wheel bearings failed. There's denial. Like any reason to deny you that they could find, they will, and they don't give a shit because they know it's going to be very difficult for the consumer to rebuttal it and hire a lawyer. They have lots of money for lawyers to help fight this, and this is what they do. And it's bullshit, and it's scummy, and it's slimy, but they love doing it, and it happens time and time again.
So this YouTuber just found out how much his Tesla Model S Plaid has depreciated in the past 2 years, and he couldn't believe how much money he's lost. This is Kyle Connor, otherwise known as Out of Spec Reviews, and he bought his Model S Plaid back in 2022. Here's his sticker. He paid $140,000 when the car was brand new. He just had his car appraised by Tesla. Wait till you see how much it's depreciated compared to a gas car. So with just 37,000 miles on the odometer, Tesla offered him a whopping $46,400. That's a loss of $94,000 or 60.
And I love it because there are people that swear by electric cars, and I don't like electric cars. At the bare minimum, I will take a hybrid. I kind of like hybrids, but that's also because I can service like batteries myself, especially the big one. I don't mind doing that. They have shelf lives. These batteries typically fail within 8 to 10 years on these cars, and you have to get them serviced. He bought a 2022 Tesla at MSRP for $140,000, and 2 years later, they are offering him $46,000, a 67% loss, and a $94,000 depreciation. New cars depreciate like freaking rocks. Like they age like milk. That's what they are. It is unbelievable. It is terrible. Do not buy brand new cars thinking that they are investments. You are delusional and are going to be shooting yourself in the foot, if not in the leg at this point. It's just dumb. Not to mention electric cars. Manufacturers were trying to be all electric or majority of electric by like 2027 or 2030. And they've all said, oh shit, this is a horrible car market. These cars are stupid. They're not really that good for the environment. The waste of recycling these batteries is toxic. We have to build and mine. How do you think they mine lithium? With diesel and massive trucks, these massive augers and whatever, digging out all that. It is not energy efficient in any way. It's just this delusion of people in America or wherever that think it's saving the environment. You're not. It's terrible. The amount of shit that goes into it. These kids in Africa mining lithium. It's unbelievable here. And they depreciate like a rock. And let's say you bought the used one, then you have 6 to 7 more years before you have to put a new battery in that's going to cost you $30,000 to install. It's horrible.
7% of its original value. The appraisal came straight from Tesla, so it could be a lowball offer. But even sites like Edmunds or Consumer Reports wouldn't give him more than $59,000 at the absolute highest.
Watch what happens when I try to start it.
My 2025 Ford Explorer 4, built tough, was towed back to the dealership with 3,000 miles. Ford has no clue what's wrong with it after almost 2 weeks. They said it's running great and there's nothing wrong, but this video is proof. Anyone have any bright ideas what's wrong with it?
Same thing. Full accessory power active. Okay, now watch. I'm gonna turn it off again. Because there is actually a way to get it to start. Would you like to see how? It was so cute, like a month ago. Okay, we're gonna auto start it. And she kicks on. Yay, right? Start. She stays on. Cool, cool, cool. Love that. Fantastic. You can hear the engine. Okay. But then as soon as I put it into drive, I hate it here.
Let's go. Miss E, how much did you put down today?
$0 down.
$0 down. And what is your monthly payment looking like?
$700.
$700 for 500 payments, ladies and gentlemen. You too can walk out on a brand new Corvette as well. Thank you. What do you rate our quality service today?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Look at this gem. 2019 Ford EcoSport 1-liter turbo, because it's a fucking turtle. They don't believe in timing chains no more now. Not only do you got the oil pump driven by a belt, your whole fucking timing is driven by a belt, but that's okay, but they soak the fucker in oil. And look at the tensioner and idler wheel. Just common piece of plastic
junk
shit riding in oil. I mean, dude, this is Most Mickeyest Mouse, cheapest bullshit, made to fail, fucking junk I've ever seen. What happened to a timing chain? Life of the motor. No. This would mean you gotta pull this whole fucker apart to put a new piece of rubber in oil.
Yep.
It's not Kevlar. Something made in China with Ford's name on it.
Yep.
And the bottom one's even a bigger joke. The oil pump drive. You see they got gears down there? But the gears are driven by a piece of rubber. How fucking smart is that? What kind of fucking shit was these guys smoking? I mean, dude, I'm amazed. I'm glad I'm almost done doing this kind of shit because, dude, I'm making too much money. This is crazy. I need a wheelbarrow to take it away. I love the way these fucking guys do this shit. That's made to last about an hour.
Yep.
Fucking A. Your oil pump dry belt soaked in oil. Let's say you let your car set for a year. You have to change all this shit. As soon as you crank it up, it's all gonna break. Oil fucking pump driven by rubber. Timing and cams driven by rubber. Soaked in oil. How fucking awesome is that? Pretty little car. I mean, if you like fucking turds, you have to push when they quit. Notice the dust on the window. You know what that means. Unbelievable. 1 liter turbo. Wow. One good strong backfire and that belt burns off, slips off the teeth. Isn't that neat? Something happens. Unreal. Timing decides to advance really, really far. Fuck. I would never fucking do that. I wouldn't give this to my kid to drive. Fuck that. So anyway, it's a happy Thursday.
Any mechanic or car enthusiast knows right off the bat that that car is meant to grenade itself. That car is built absolutely terrible. It's disgusting. Anybody with a Ford EcoBoost, whether it's a Mustang, an Explorer, whatever, those cars are meant to grenade, or you have to service every 60,000 miles, 50,000. And if you don't do it in time, you need a new engine. So these cars, that truly says planned obsolescence, and it is meant to fail so that it gets you to buy a new car. Because guess what? If your engine blows at 60K, which conveniently is a year or two after warranty, it forces you to get a new car, and they're hoping you buy another Ford. Planned obsolescence at its finest couldn't have been shown any more perfectly. Only true mechanics or enthusiasts would know that that is a bomb waiting to go off.
You guys told me don't get a Kia. Told me don't get a Kia. What did I do? I got a Kia. I got the 2024 Kia Telluride.
Junk.
This thing's not cheap, but I like the way that it looked. We have some friends who have it. They love it. I said, screw the negative public opinion. I'm just going to go for it. I've had the car maybe 2 months. Month one,
See, this is the problem, and I don't want to stereotype girls, but it's men too. It's guys too. If you, and I have learned, if you shop for cars because you think it's cute, or you're buying cars because it's cutesy and nice, you are asking for it. Don't buy a Range Rover or a Jeep Wrangler or a Kia Telluride because it's cute and it has some cool features like heated seats or ambient lighting. You are literally asking for you to, it's going to rock your world when you buy this unreliable piece of junk because they sold you on it because of ambient lighting.
passenger door handle falls off. Sorry, it doesn't fall off. It was hanging by a wire. I chalked it up as a random defect. They fixed it quickly, no problem. A week later, I'm driving and suddenly my entire dash lights up. My speedometer stops working. So no matter how fast I'm going, it says 0. The lights on my shift don't work, so I don't know if I'm in park or in drive. It also doesn't change on the dash. Lose power steering, so the car becomes very heavy. And then it'll fix itself, sometimes after 5 minutes, sometimes after 2 hours. Obviously, it's only 2 months old. Everything's under warranty, so I make an appointment to have it fixed. I had to postpone it. It was supposed to be last week. I had to postpone it. I was going to call back today. But this morning, I have to drive to a prenatal appointment because not only do I have a toddler that I have to get places, but I'm also 7 months pregnant. And I'm just minding my business in my new car. What happens at the stop sign? My car just stops. It's still on, but again, the dash lights up, and now my car is locked in drive, but it's actually in park, so I can't go anywhere, and the stick shift is locked. So it's rush hour, it's in the morning, I have to put my hazards on, I have to open my window, and I just have to tell people, go, there's school buses, to cancel my prenatal appointment, $140 for a tow to the dealership that's 5 minutes away. Oh, and I forgot the best part. When I was getting this car, everyone's telling me, be careful, the driver's seats are catching on fire.
The last episode, we had somebody commented that they would never choose a used car because they don't want to break down on their way to work. That how embarrassing and terrible would it be to be driving a hoopty or a used car and to be pulled over on the side of the road and be late? Need I say any more? It happens to new cars too. You're a guinea pig. There's so much technology and junk that has just been made quickly and dumped into the market because everybody has to compete with each other, that they're pretty much like, let's get the product out and then figure out the problems later. That's how a lot of these new cars are being put out. They, instead of taking the time and doing the R&D and really honing in on their craft and making a good, reliable product and then putting it out to market, they do the opposite. It's let's just get majority of it done, throw it out, dump it into the market. They'll just make it look pretty with a new color, because I know that the Kia Tellurides, I'll give it to her, they do look very nice. They are doing some very nice colors, and I do like the shape of it. And they throw it, they hope and they pray. And then you get all these problems that you have to deal with as a consumer because you bought a lemon, a junker. And now you got to bring it in and get it serviced. So this new car that you got, these new car payments that you have to pay, you don't even get to enjoy your car because it's in the shop all the time.
400,000 Tellurides were being recalled because the seats were catching on fire. So they were telling people don't park in your house because then it can catch your house on fire.
Oh, no, don't park the car in or near your property or in your house because the seats will randomly catch on fire. Oh, that's safe. But remember, used cars are going to leave you stranded and they're not safe. But somehow your new Kia Telluride is totally okay. Just will explode and combust into flames at any minute.
So as I'm getting this car, I tell them, my car's not part of the recall, right? I'm not going to have to bring it in. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, we're not allowed. We're legally not allowed to give you a car that is part of the recall. What do I get in the mail a month after I got the car? Your car is part of a recall for seats catching on fire. So please bring it in so that we can fix it and you hopefully won't die. So I need to know from car people, car enthusiasts, maybe car salesmen, what are my options here? Because sure, I brought it in, it's under warranty. They say they're going to fix it. They're going to run a whole diagnostics test. They're going to fix it. I don't want a car that you sold me that was broken. It was a lemon that you are now fixing. I want a car that is perfect and brand new from the moment you give it to me. I don't want your good as new car. I want a different car. So I guess that's what I'm asking. Can I get a different, I want a Kia Telluride. I want this, I just don't want that one because that one's obviously a lemon and I don't want your lemon. And you want to know the absolute kicker? You know what loaner car they gave me? You know what I'm sitting in right now? I am sitting in my Nissan Rogue. This was my exact car.
Just adding salt to the injury.
That I gave to them when I leased this new Kia Telluride. It still has Lucas's food crumbs in the back. And you know what? I had 2 different Rogues over 8 years and I never had one problem. If I didn't need something bigger with a second baby on the way, I would say just keep that car, give me the difference of the money back, and give me my car back. Can you believe I'm back in my car?
I'll give you 2 words to fix that problem. Toyota Sienna. Problem solved. That's simple. I like how she said, which is what I was just talking about, how she wanted a car that should be good and she shouldn't have to worry about it breaking down all the time because it's brand new. Sorry, lady. Newsflash. I want to bring you back into the 21st century. Unfortunately, that's not how cars are built anymore. They're built like shit. I hate to break it to you. Majority of them are. There's very few that still take pride in their cars. Toyota being one of them. Lexus being one of them. Mazda. Some Mazdas being one of them. Now, there are some models of those that aren't as good, like the Toyota Tundra, but the rest of them seem to be fairly okay. Do your research, buy a reliable car. Guys, if you haven't seen my previous episode, part 1, I'll link it right after this, but definitely make sure to smash the like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, drop your stories down below, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.